Good morning, folks. Rick Spain with Infinite Grace, and we want to thank Weatherford Daily News and Read Publications for sponsoring us in this video, hopefully to help you. That's what we're here for. And just a little bit about Infinite Grace. This is what we do. We help people. We want to help you to cope with the challenges of life and to find the you that you didn't know existed. Not because we say so, but because God says so. So everything that we do at Infinite Grace is based upon what God's Word says. And so I just and He's got the final say on everything, whether you believe it or not. So anyway, this is what we speak. So today I want to talk about the reason. So thinking about the reason, everyone has a reason. You've got a reason to get up out of bed. You got a reason to go back to bed. You got a reason to say something, and then you have a reason to plead the fifth. We all have a reason, right? And so that's what I want to talk about today. So this is a simple exegesis, is what we call this, and it's what, why, and how. You learn that in public speaking and especially in dictation and trying to give people solutions in life and tell people stuff they want to hear. So when it has to do with having your reason, so the first question you got to ask is, what is your reason? What is your reason? So everybody has a reason. What is your reason? So Albert Einstein put it this way. He said, it is where the pinch is felt. And you know what I mean. So the reason is not necessarily out there because somebody else said so, or because it's just a fleeting thought, but it's because something comes up and you say, oh, okay, I got to do something. I've got a reason. So I like, this time of the year is always kind of special for me. My team's not doing real well this year, and so I'm not as focused. But this is what you call in the collegiate circles March Madness, and now we're getting down to the Final Four. I'm not sure. I know Duke and Houston and Auburn, and I can't remember the other one. Don't know. But anyway, I hadn't kept up with it as much this year. But this is the time. This is the reason. You got the college kids out there that are playing basketball, and even high school kids that are dreaming one day to be in the March Madness, and then on to the glories of the NBA, possibly. But anyway, there's a pursuit every day. They practice, and then they're going to go out and take this round ball and try to throw it through this hoop, and Lord, I've done a plenty of it, believe it or not. But it's the challenge is just get that ball in that hoop, or to stop somebody else from getting the ball in the hoop. So that when you're establishing a reason, you have to look at what you do in life. Are you practicing? What are you practicing? And what is it producing? See, that's the key thought right there. The key thought. Because a reason is a reason because it needs a solution. And so if you don't have a, a solution for the reason, then you learn to adjust to it. But typically, what we have is our reason, we have a solution. So we are moving towards that solution. And the question is, what is it producing? Hmm. So when you talk about what your reason is, you got to look at your destination. So, and that is solving the problem that the reason occurs that brings up, and so that's what we call the answers, right? So, uh, the destination. So it reminds me of something I spoke to a group of people years ago. I don't know how many years, but years ago, and the title of the message was how to get from here to there. And I learned this just from, but to tell you the truth, most of what I learned is just by looking in the mirror. Think about that for a second. So, but anyway, I was talking to the people about how to get from here to there, and we're moving from one destination to another, and as we're going, we have people that get in our way, and obstacles and problems and more trouble, and you know what? We just can't achieve our reason. We're so frustrated and getting from point A to point B that once we get to point B, we don't even enjoy it because of the frustration of getting there or the pursuit of the next point. How to get from here to there. And so what is your reason? Are you just like that cat that chases its tail? And if you are, don't feel alone. We've all been there, and if not, we're just not doing anything. So understanding what your reason is, but when you think about and you find what your reason is, then you got to examine and you got to determine, uh, why do you have a reason? Because your reason needs a why. If it doesn't have a why attached to it, it's not a real reason. It's just you trying to get out of work or avoid conflict or whatever, and so your reason needs a why. So Miles Monroe said, someone who does not know where they're going will probably end up someplace else. And so this is what your why does. Your why gives you a destination for your reason. So without that, you are going to wind up somewhere, but it's probably going to be somewhere you don't want to be. I like what Yogi Bear says. He said, when you come to a Y in the road, take it. When you come to a Y in the road, take it. And that's just an interesting concept. He had a lot of interesting concept. But I've heard something else that there are uh, uh, the thought is make a decision, because there are a lot of flat squirrels that failed to do that. And if you think about it, flat squirrels, okay, it's as you're driving along and you see, oh man, that poor squirrel. Well, that squirrel got out there in the middle of the road and he couldn't decide whether to go one way or another. And so he got flattened. So I know it's not funny. I'm sorry, but it's kind of humor in there. But anyway, your reason needs a why. So there's three things I want you to examine. What is your why connected to? Why do you have a reason? There's three reasons. Number one is what I call reactionary. And so that's like when you're driving on the road, somebody pulls out in front of you. What do? You're going to swerve, you're going to slam on the brake, you're going to do something right now because you don't want to have a wreck, right? That's what you call reactionary. And so our whys a lot of times are connected to reactions. Because someone did this, we automatically respond. Or if something happens in life, it stirs a response. Why? Because it is not thought through. It's reactionary. It's because we've experienced something in the past. And so this is why we do what we do. This is the reason. So number one is reactionary. Number two reason why would be because of repetitive activity. Okay, so what do you mean by that, Rick? Well, it's like if you have a house, you have an apartment, whatever, that every month there's this, you get some mail, and you look at it and you know what it is, and it's got PSO, whoever on it, the gas company, the city, whatever. And what they're doing is they're sending you a bill. Why? Because you consumed some of what they were supplying. And so this is what you call a repetitive reason. So when you use the water, you got to pay for the water, right? That's repetitive. And so if you don't pay for it, what happens? They shut the water off. And then what happens? You become reactionary. And so you go back to point one. But so you got a repetitive reason. The third reason that you have for your why is what you call investment. And so this is where you look at what you have and you determine, well, I would like to have more. And so what do? You put that whatever you have into something else, believing that that will produce more later on. And so that's an investment reason. And so, there's a lot of people that forget about that everything we do in life is an investment. Everything, everything. So I look at where we are in our world today, and we have a cumulative credit card debt of over $1 trillion. What is that telling me? That people are investing in things right now that they don't even have the money for, just hoping you have the money for it. Yeah, I'm not getting on to anybody. I'm just telling you, when we look at investment, most of our investments are in paying the paint, going back to number two, which is that repetitive recurring bill. So we go in and we pay that minimum payment just so we can get them off of our back. And then if something happens and we're not able to pay that, we go back to step one, which is reactionary. So you see where we've got this cat chasing its tail again. So we've got the three: the reactionary, the repetitive, and the investment type reasons. So the third thing I want to talk to you about, and before we get into that, I want to give you a scripture out of the Bible, and it is Ephesians 1:18. And I wrote it down in my own words because I like doing that. But it says, "For this reason, I pray that the eyes of your understanding may be opened, that you may know what is the hope of his design for you and his great source to supply you for your reason." You think, God's concerned about my reason? That's why he created you. And so this is what I want to get into on this last point, is in developing a sustainable reason. So in this thought, developing a sustainable reason, you got three parts. You got a product. The sustainable reason is you want to purchase this piece of equipment, this car, whatever. You want to buy something. That is the reason. And so you're saving up for this. You want this product, or you go. You get an investment. Go back to investment, uh, and you go and you try to obtain the money in order to get the product. Or number two, you've got the process, and in the process, this is the same as recurring bills. It's a process. You go to work every day. Why do you go to work? Because you want to pay your bills. And you're hoping that you're going to have a little bit left over that you might enjoy yourself in life, right? Or go out and eat a steak or whatever. And so this is what you call the process of the reason. And the third aspect of developing a sustainable reason is in people. this is the greatest of reasons. And so it reminds me of the thought that I have. It's in that the world would be great if it wasn't for people. And so that's the concept we get is, you know what? I mean, my life would be wonderful if this person wouldn't do that, or this person get out of my way, or this person wouldn't say, you know what I'm saying? It's like people. People are the problem. People are the problem. But then you look in the mirror and you see, what do you see? You see a people. We're all people. And so we're either helping or we're hurting someone else in this pursuit of purpose in finding that reason. And so when we start turning that the other direction, not considering people as a nuisance or as a problem, but as a project. And I'm not saying that everyone is a project. What I'm saying is that God put something in you that other people need. And so this is what I call making a difference. So, uh, there's so many people in our world that, this person does this person does that, and you combine everything together, and it produces what we need. And so how do we receive what we need? Because people are out there working to produce it. And so, a lot of times we don't recognize that because we're just doing what we're supposed to do, or we're doing what God put in us without even thinking about it. And so what are we doing? We're making a difference. I couldn't do this video here if it wasn't for Sarah. And you know what? Even with John in the background, with his typing and everything going on, and he pays attention a little bit. I look over at him. I need the audience too. Yeah. So whether they're pecking away at a keyboard, it's good to have somebody else there listening. And so, but these guys make a difference. I couldn't do it without Sarah. I couldn't do it without John. I couldn't do it without you. And so making a difference. This is where we are talking about developing a sustainable reason. And so once you start recognizing that what you do is a contribution to make the machine work, then you can start creating an identity in what you do, not necessarily in your occupation, but in the gifts that are in you that help you to perform in that occupation. So the last point I want to make is that you can make a difference, and if you work it in a sustainable measure, you will find that you are a difference. You can make a difference. Instead of talking about how bad your world is, how about talking about what can I do to make my world better? Because I want you to know that the one who matters the most, our Creator, designed you for a reason. And His greatest impetus and desire is to provide you with what you need to find that reason. I hope this helps you today, because you do have a reason. Have a great day.